We are live. Oh my god, Andy, you're gonna be doing this
I
bit
didn't do
all
the
day.
bit. No.
No, you're doing a new bit. You have a new bit. The new bit that
Yeah.
get to keep.
Oh, dear. This is going to be a good recording.
This is Literary Roadhouse. One short story once a week. I'm Andy.
I'm an ace.
And I'm Gerald.
This week we read Time is an Ocean by Angela Liu.
Have you got your radio broadcaster's voice on today, Andy? It
Is
sounds
that
just like
what my
that.
voice is?
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Smooth Tunes. with
Welcome
Andy.
to Smooth Tunes with Time is an Ocean.
Anyway, sorry. Carry on.
This was a little story about an unnamed heroine, I believe.
It's
There's
you.
a reference
Are you a
to
heroine,
blouse,
Andy?
and I've taken the blouse to be a gender cue, and it might not necessarily be, but that's what I've extrapolated in my reading.
The gender cue is you, so you're in a blouse.
I am in a blouse. You don't know what I'm wearing right now,
Oh,
I'm just saying.
probably prefer
despite
not
the
to
fact that
know.
we're on video.
Yes.
For our listeners to the audio only podcast, we're also on video sometimes.
Hey.
Every time. Yeah.
And then there's a visual component where you can tell I'm not wearing a blouse. I feel like we need to narrate this because otherwise it's lost.
That's true. All right. Clearly, we love this story, so let's continue.
I kind of love this story, so
Okay, great. I
let's
need
hold your
someone to
horses.
balance this out.
What?
Yeah, it's weird though. Let me summarize it real quick. There's a weird
Hey,
little
yeah,
story
do that.
with a whole shitload of unnamed characters, so that's gonna make summarizing it a little awkward. Except I'm gonna not pay attention to most of them. So there's the hero. There's a time traveler who shows up one day, and they stay, and that's fine. Bunch of stuff about rain, drowning, and suicide. So that sounds great. All of your friends are getting ready for college, and you're like, I don't know what I'm going to do. Probably kill myself. And then you hang out with the time traveler for a while. You talk about extinction events and the beauty of ending things, and then kind of fall in love with the time traveler. And then one day the time traveler leaves.
That's after he tried to commit suicide, though.
Yeah. He tries to commit suicide too.
So sorry.
We do
I
a
don't
whole
mean to-
several loops on drowning and you are gonna drown yourself, and I think your dad probably drowned himself, and you found the body, and your mom's very absent, and the time traveler tries to kill himself. It's great.
I'm looking forward to next week's story, which has content note: sexual coercion, assault, and suicidal ideation. That's going to be fun.
I just went for it because it's Alex E. Harrow, and I needed a palate cleanser.
Oh,
Okay.
I just saw some. Oh, I saw a blurb on another book by Alex E. Harrow, and I was like, oh, I know Alex E. Harrow. What do I know? Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Thing we read.
We love everything she's written so far on this podcast, so therefore, I'm like,
Okay.
I just need a palate cleanser.
We'll be the judge of that.
Mm-hmm. That is what we do.
Judge it.
So, what's the problem with the story, Annie?
Yeah. What's the problem? What's your problem?
I feel bad. I feel bad because normally I'm the softie who's like trying to find redeeming qualities in a story, and now I'm like Andy levels of mad that I read this. I just it pushes all my buttons, every single button, and then it invented a new one. It invented a new button. So I'm
But
like,
tell us about
extra.
some of these buttons. I feel like we got a whole podcast to fill. It's not being
Yeah.
paid.
We do. Button number 1.
Yep.
Prose that's in love with itself. It's very like kind of overly indulgent without saying much in a lot of areas in a way that really bothered me, like giving this like effect of depth, but then it was like it had these lines where you're like, that's supposed to be the deep line that resonates, but it didn't. That bothered me so much. Like every little section would like ended on a line where you're supposed to be like, oh, like some like resonant thing, and it's like no. So that really bothered me. Like just like it felt like manipulative. Like this is the line that you're supposed to feel the thing, and it's like you didn't earn me feeling the thing because you haven't said anything. That really bugged me so much. Okay. And so that's my biggest complaint.
Maybe it's just because you didn't understand what it's telling you and saying.
I think it's trying to tell me that I didn't understand, but I think I did based on Andy's summary. Got all that.
Yeah.
I would also say you would have forgiven that specific button on another story if it didn't piss you off in some other way. So, like, what's button number 2?
Yeah.
Another button. It's the unnecessary use of second person present tense.
Yeah.
If you're going to use it, it has to be completely unnecessary here. So unnecessary, and it actually makes the story less specific and therefore less impactful.
Yeah, I don't know why. I actually read one of her other short stories just because I was curious, and like it was also a second person, but it was doing something with it in that story. So I was like, okay, that's
you can. I'm not a second person, you're out person. You can use it, and you can use it effectively. That's not the case in this story. So that bugged me. And then also just like this veneer of sci-fi on top. Like the time traveler could have just been some dude. It had nothing to do with time travel whatsoever, really. Like there was like he could have also just been some dude who also liked reading about extinction events. Like the fact that he had actually like been to some of these didn't actually add anything in the way that the story was written. It didn't. Not really.
I feel like
Andy,
that's the crux. Like that's the crux. Okay. The ending, the first time I read the story, I was like, oh, and then it just stops and okay. But then I've interpreted it as he's the one behind, or at least a part of the one behind all of these billions of miracles. He's what stopped the extinction event from killing all life through the dedication.
That's a big leap, I think.
Well, because he left the same note for her, for you, for the hero.
Okay, but there's a lot of people who...
She didn't kill herself because of him, and that was important. And so that same work is what he was doing.
But he's trying to kill himself as well.
Yeah, because that's a lot. It's a lot to do.
Sure. Which takes me to my next point. It's not really a pet peeve so much as a thought that I had that I can't unthink, which was like, this reads like fancy Doctor Who fanfic in places.
Like, yeah, it's
yes,
Doctor Who.
It doesn't.
Like, absolutely.
It reads like Doctor Who fanfic.
No, 100%.
Which isn't necessarily like a knock. There's a lot of people who are fanfic, and then they're like, I bet I could like strip this of names, put in a U, and get it in. And it's like that's fine. Like but it's just that I couldn't get that out of my head throughout. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
so that's some doctor stuff right there.
It's definitely some doctor stuff right there.
Broken time machine, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That seems to fix itself, or
with the episode over,
yeah. Because I watched an episode of Doctor Who last night in the new series, and he fixed it with his sonic screwdriver, shoved it in the door, and then it fixed itself. There you go. It's like this. So maybe.
And also the little romance, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A little genteel romance.
Anyway,
But that's not a knock against it. That's just a thing we observed.
It's just a thing I observed. Yes. Yeah. Like that's not the problem. I'm not mad at that. But then once it was in my head, I couldn't let go of it, which is fine. But yeah, no, the main knocks are just like these lines that you can tell are supposed to make me be like deep. But it doesn't. You didn't earn it. Second person point of view, present tense. And then just like from what I read, and maybe Andy can argue this better, not doing enough with the time traveler. It could have just been some guy and you get the same story.
I'm not going to say you're wrong, but like.
So this could be a sort of Terminator Sarah Connor type thing where he comes back from the future to influence the present to make sure that the future can happen,
or like maybe. I don't like. There's a billion miracles why any of us are here. Is like,
yeah, but you're giving him a lot of intent. Like it could just be the miracle is that he wound up here, wound up on her couch, and because of that, towards the end, she isn't thinking about like.
I am giving him a lot of intent. That's true, but I think that's the part that makes the time traveler. That's why it's more important that he's a time traveler than that he's some guy.
Sure, if you need intent, then it has to be the time traveler. Because without intent, it could just be some guy. Because it could just be this is just one of those billions of miracles, and that's it. How pretty,
right?
That could be it.
But I like because it's also about how tired he is, and then he tries to kill himself too.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah. I did like the friend who never really wants to hear her problems. My best friend who
Yes.
never actually wants to know how I'm doing.
My unnamed best friend.
Yeah, and she's a
Well,
bit of
because
an
of
Like,
your
I
best
know
friend,
nobody gets a name, but like that's very telling of the hero's relationship with everybody else, right? It's like, here's my best friend. What are they? My best friend is who they are.
Yeah.
Went off
Yeah,
to
and
college.
she's the bit of the outcast at school, isn't she? With the baggy clothes and so on, and people. She's not really into the whole friendship thing. What is a friend? And questioning that, and so it's a bit over introspective at times, I think.
Oh yeah, that's it. That's one of the things I didn't get to. That's right. One of my pet peeves, and I've said this on other podcasts, is stories that feel like a mental health essay. But I came here for a story. That's another pet peeve of mine. I wanted a story. You gave me an essay on mental health.
Yeah.
What was the new button?
What was the new button? Can't remember.
You were just saying that as a
I
bit?
was just throughout the
Even
whole thing. I
new
was like,
button.
why is this happening? Yeah. I think I've made all these points before. I also just don't like manipulative writing, where like you see the line that's supposed to make you feel the thing and they didn't earn it. It really bugs me.
But you do like manipulative writing if it makes you, if it earns it. See, that's the thing where I'm gonna nitpick at you. Like, no, there's another thing that went wrong, and that made the first thing that could have been good bad.
Well, because when you earn it, you have specific characters, a specific plot. There is something happening. There's a reason to root for or against something. There is some goal that is happening here, and you are now invested in what is happening. And for those reasons, you have feelings. And like this doesn't do any of that. It gives you like it's just the character is an empty vessel intentionally.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a risky direction to go to make this fully. Like, I get that, like, the feelings of estrangement and like absent mother, dead father, no close relationships, your friends. But like, right, it's hard to hook on to something when they're completely empty and nobody has any names.
Right. And also, like maybe this isn't then for me. Like maybe for somebody who moves through life very depressed, very lonely, who has these kinds of thoughts and has this internal world. Yeah, maybe for them, it's like, I have been seen. The story is for me. These are my people. And that's fine. Like these stories should exist for that. But then for me, it's a miss because for me, it's like, I would care more about this if you like drew this person for me, made me care about them. And now I'm like, okay, I want you to be okay by the end of the story.
For our audio listeners, while Anise was describing a person who goes through life depressed without real connections to other people, I snapped my fingers and pointed both thumbs at myself.
But it was 2 thumbs enthusiastically.
Yeah. There goes enthusiastic Andy.
Good old enthusiastic 2 thumbs Kaczynski. That's what they called me in high school.
Wow, you had lots of
I guess that kind of makes sense maybe then why this story resonated a bit more with you. Because
I mean, I think it does. I think it absolutely does. I think I started reading this story about this girl who's like, what if I drown myself?
Yeah.
And I was like, all right.
You're like, I get that.
Yeah, that's a normal impulse.
Wow.
And I'm here like, okay, is there a reason why?
Is there a reason why not?
Why not? I think that's the thing, isn't it? It's people like Anais and I say why, and others would say why not. And
this is for the why not crowd.
This is for the why not crowd.
The why nots.
Yep. Look at this. We did an analysis.
Yeah. We've invented a whole new thing.
And everyone in the why not crowd finds their own time traveler or dies.
Well, we all die eventually.
That's true. We do all die. Nobody gets out alive.
Really? I'm going to be the first.
Though actually, I've never experienced it, so I don't know that for sure.
No,
right, but so far,
it seems like that's what's going to happen. But I have no firsthand evidence.
Correct. That's very true.
Yeah.
Yes.
I was helping out someone at work the other day whose parent had just passed, but the parent was 100 years old, like on the nosy, like they had just turned 100.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, well, so yeah, right. What are you gonna? I'm sad my parent is dead, but
yeah, of course. But
they were 100. We knew what was coming.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like a downward ticking clock, isn't it? It sort of gradually starts turning and then gets. I'm mixing my metaphors now, so I'll probably shut up.
You know how those
it's just
downward
those
ticking
clocks
clocks
go
start
downstairs.
it's ticking clock, yeah, that goes down the slope and it goes.
Yeah,
everyone
everyone
was
knows
like a
clocks.
ski jump at the end.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well,
the clock wins the
maybe.
gold medal.
Well, maybe it goes down and down, and then at the end you go up to something else.
Ooh.
Now that's a story.
Religiosity.
Yeah, maybe. And
Well,
what's mixed reality? This writer researched mixed reality. What's that? I suppose I could have Googled it.
You know, I assume that's like
putting a time
AR
traveler in
stuff.
your story.
Like
augmented reality?
Yeah, augmented reality is what I know it as.
Okay.
I guess that's a new thing. The new what do they call it? The new Facebook's Meta VR helmet does is they do a lot more augmented reality stuff where it's like you see your real house through the thing, but then also layer stuff on top of it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There's a cool program they're doing for children's hospitals where they have to take them from their room to another room where they put the VR helmet on them and they see their regular hospital room that they're used to. And then as they go out into the hallway, it transitions into a specific journey with like stars and animals and whatever.
Hey.
Make it less scary than the white hospital walls.
Yeah. That's good.
I wonder if that's what mixed reality is.
I started Googling and yes, it's in there was one article. It's like, what's the difference between mixed reality, augmented reality, and virtual reality? I didn't get all the way in, but it's in that world, basically.
Okay.
Yeah. Gerald, you haven't said much about this story. I feel like I don't know if you liked it or didn't like it.
Yep. That's the conclusion you draw.
Okay.
Anyway, next week I pretty much agree with both of you, really. I didn't mind. I minded the writing less than you, and I started off by thinking it's doing something very clever here, and I don't understand because that's not unusual. And then I sort of ignored it from then on, so I just sort of went with it, bumbling along, floating along an ocean for years and years, or maybe when my time machine breaks down again. That's a pretty unreliable time machine. Keeps on breaking down, lands him in. You see, there's nobody to rescue in the middle of the ocean.
Well, that's how you generate new episodes, though, right? It's it's just a convenient plot device.
This is
on the first episode. I'm gonna tell you a brief story that's funny.
Oh, okay.
It's not that funny, so don't get your hopes up. On the first episode of the Stargate television show, right? They open up this Stargate to another world, dimension, parallel reality. I don't fully remember what the Stargate goes to, but somewhere else. And then they do an adventure and they come back, and then the guys in charge of the Stargate program are like, oh, okay, yeah, well, the computers are gonna decode another destination. It'll probably take about 7 days. It's like, oh, okay. So like every 7 days, there's a new adventure to go on. I see what you've done. You've just built a little.
Every Saturday evening at 7 o'clock, it finishes decoding, and here we go.
You just built another in-universe adventure machine. Okay,
fantastic.
Yeah, so that's when the time machine breaks down. So you go on an adventure.
It's the point about the second person is to put us, the reader, into a situation and ask questions of ourselves, but it was it just seems so distant, so disconnected from my personal reality that I felt no connection with it.
because it was still a very specific scenario for this second,
Mhm.
right? They weren't an everyman. They were,
Sure.
you know, how your father drowned himself when you were small and you found the
Right.
body, and your mother hasn't seen you in 6 years because she's reclaiming her youth. And like,
Yeah.
that's specific.
It is, but then it doesn't get specific enough, right? Like it's specific enough for like
Right.
it's alienating to
It's
the
not
you, but not
specific enough to be Kathy.
right, and not specific enough for them to be a character that now you have an emotional attachment to.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Just specific enough not to be me. So I don't really
Yeah.
like that. I
Yeah,
see
they're
that
definitely not
complaint.
me.
The
Yeah.
that was my biggest problem with it. Is like, it's weird.
Mhm.
It is. And he has toast, butter, and black coffee every morning for breakfast, which is a bit. It's like the time travel is a little bit strange, and you're not quite sure whether he is, as I think you said, and he's some sort of light sci-fi connection floating around a little bit. Like, who is he? What is he?
Yeah, I thought there might be a reveal that he's just some guy that he lied about the time
Yeah.
machine. Like it's like for a while it seemed that's just as plausible.
Yeah, I thought that too.
I didn't. I thought he was Doctor Who.
Okay, yeah.
Brought it up on this show.
Yep. Well, it's a very specific sort of time travel he's doing, isn't it? He's not just traveling through time. He's traveling through time and relative dimensions in space.
He'd need a machine for that, wouldn't he?
And I think it was also that like romance component where like the companion is like more in love than the doctor for the most part. You know what I mean? Like the dynamic between them also was like this is
in
Doctor
that
Who.
the doctor's love is love for all sentient beings. I would not say the companion's more in love.
Well, you
More
know what I mean.
in love.
More into a specific romance.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. And he's not as funny as Doctor Who as well. So that's it's just a strange guy who sort of turns up with a strange machine that she doesn't understand.
I mean, that is
and you
did just fully describe.
Yeah, well, it's got gears and it's got wires and it's got a red light that turns to green on the front of it. It's I don't know.
Right, it's not a police box at all.
That's
where the whole thing falls on.
Yeah, yeah. If it was a police box, I could get on board.
Right? Yeah. Then the story's a 6.
Well, maybe not. And I didn't like the sort of the suicidal overtones to it. It's just but it has I suppose you could say it does have a positive ending because he has, and we don't know what he left in his note, which is a bit of a
I thought
we do.
Yeah,
we do. Yeah. It's like that what line in italics at the end. The calculations were at 98.8% likelihood of complete destruction. That was the note.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, okay. Maybe I missed that bit off. Oh, okay. Oh yes. Yeah. So I don't know what I think about it. I just think, it's all right. But I suppose it left more questions than answers, and not good questions. That it's not questions that made me question that. What am I doing here? What's the world happening? Things like big questions. It's like, what's this? What's this person meaning by this? And what's this story all about? And what's it supposed to be doing? And I don't know. But yeah, I think possibility of him coming back to save but then if he's coming back to save the future world by stopping her committing suicide, what's the old breaking down and landing on the sea for months or years or something, and what's he saving there? What's his purpose?
No, he's just doing all kinds of adventures.
Is he? Okay. Oh, it's
it's like a quantum leap, man. He just shows up somewhere and puts right what once went wrong.
I wish there were some sort of weird looking aliens in it, though. I could get on board with that.
Hey, we should all watch Quantum Leap. By we, I mean like the world. Everyone watch Quantum Leap again.
What, the series?
Yeah,
Is it
the
a
series. Scott Bakula.
Okay. I never saw it.
Well, it's incredible.
Okay. I'll try to find it.
Should we rate?
Yeah.
Yes.
I'll go in the middle. Andy, you can go first.
I think I'm gonna give it 4.
Okay.
Ooh.
I think the softie in me wants to go up, but no, it's a 1. I had more fun
Wow.
discussing it, but I did not
Not
have fun
even a
reading it.
2.
I was very grumpy. Yeah.
Sometimes the fun of the discussion raises it a number, but not this time.
No, I was really upset reading it. I was just very annoyed. It was like all my buttons. Like,
And
yeah.
and I think if sometimes in the discussion you discover different things about it that you weren't quite sure of, you missed, where you think, oh, that was very clever, well done. But no, not in this one. I it was okay. It was mildly entertaining. That's a 3 for me, I think.
Okay. Well, all right. Next week, we're reading The Sycamore and the Sibyl by Alex E. Harrow, which I'm excited about because we've read 2 of her stories before on this pod, and we love it. Okay. But before
Nerd.
we go, tell us about your time traveler crush in our Facebook discussion group, the Literary Roadhouse Readers. Want to read more fiction that explores teenage angst and mental health? Keep this podcast going by leaving a review of Literary Roadhouse wherever you get your podcasts or supporting us on patreon.com/Literary Roadhouse. Every bit helps. And as always, share this podcast with a so-called best friend who doesn't really want to hear about your problems. Until next time, read a good story.
Read a good story.